Yo, what's up guys? Welcome to my advanced neon guide on bind. This guide was made for patch 4.0 aka episode 4, and if this guide helped you out, be sure to like and subscribe for more neon content. With that out of the way, let's get on to the video. So first up, we have the A short stun lineups. Come along this wall and only show the pink towel, aim along this line to stun Cubby and left side of triple. Come along the same wall, aim in the same spot, but show the yellow towel to stun Cubby and right side of triple. Come up to this corner, aim a little bit to the left of this blue towel to stun Heaven. Come anywhere in the middle, look at this diagonal line, throw a stun in the middle of the diagonal line to stun Bench. For this next one, jump on top of the box, look at this vertical line a little bit above truck, and then it will stun back of triple. Alternatively, for the Bench stun, you can throw a stun off of the top of triple. It will stun front of triple and all of Bench area. Aim to the left of this window, throw a stun to stun Cubby and U-Haul. In that same spot, aim to the left of this orange sign right here to stun Far, Bench, and CT. On this diagonal wall, you can throw a stun along the right side of this gray line to stun Heaven and back of tank. You can also throw a stun off the right side of this wall right here to stun Cubby. For attacking on A Bath, there's the obvious stunning off of this wall to stun Bench. You can also line yourself up right here and look just a little bit above this piece of roofing to stun back of tank and Heaven. To stun your close right corner and Bench, you can look just to the right of this yellow light. Throw it off that wall, it'll stun close right, and if you want it to hit a little bit deeper in Bench, just look a little bit more to the right. If you throw a stun along this black line right here towards the bottom of it, you'll be able to stun Heaven and back of triple. To stun under Heaven Cubby right here, you'll have to come along the left side of the door and aim about halfway down the wall underneath this black pipe. Throw it against that wall and it should stun that close corner. You can also stun Heaven if you look through the hole in the ceiling and stun anywhere along this big tower right here, preferably in the middle. For A short walls, jump up on this box, aim anywhere along this pipe right here, throw your wall. Heaven's covered, your Cubby's covered, and you can get a free U-Haul. If you wanted a little more space towards the sight, jump up onto this box, aim right above this plant, right where my crosshair is, and then just throw the wall. It covers all of Heaven, all of this right side Cubby. They can still sit in there, and you can get U-Haul as well. For A showers walls, you can come right up to this door, throw a wall right here. It covers Heaven, Cubby, and you get a free walkout all the way up until this point, and then you have to peek. You can also come into this corner right here and aim right at this little triangle piece at the top of it, and then do a jump throw for your wall to cover all of Heaven but leave left side triple open. Another version of that wall is to come into this corner right here, aim at this little point right here, aim a little bit above it so that the wall goes over, and then you get a free lane from Heaven, and then you can peek U-Haul freely and take this fight without being pressured from short or Cubby. Now this next wall you can do on the left or right side of triple. Just come right up to this door and then throw your wall above the left side or the right side to give yourself a free lane to backside, like so. You can move all the way back here with this wall and then peek any corner you want without being pressured for any other angle. Or alternatively, you could throw it above the right side, not be pressured from Heaven too much, and then you could come all the way in the back, swing this, you could swing Bench, swing Heaven, do whatever with that. Next up, we have the B Hookah lineups. So there's this obvious one that you bank it off that wall, it covers all of this left side. You can bank it off this right wall too to get all of the right side. If you jump up onto this box and aim right at the top of this line, this diagonal line right here, it will stun back sight and this close-up Cubby. If you jump up on the same box and throw your stun at the eye, it will stun back sight and close right garden. And if you throw your stun all the way to the left of this black box right here, anywhere along this line right here, it will stun back sight and double box. If you're in the front of this box, you can throw your stun in between double and tube, and it will stun double and back sight. You can also throw a stun along this green line right here above CT door to stun CT door and all of Cubby. And if anyone's playing in tube, you can stun anywhere along this red text right here to stun left side of tube and Cubby. Throw a stun off of the point of this wall to stun a good portion of elbow. If you throw a stun off of this back wall right here, a little bit towards the left, you can stun CT and your dropout. You come into this corner right here and throw anywhere underneath this darker spot on the wall. You can stun your dropout and elbow. If you're on the left side of Hookah, you can crouch and throw a stun on the top of this panel on the left side of CT door to stun CT and all of Cubby. Alright, and for B long stun lineups, you can come up to this wall, aim anywhere along this wooden beam right here to stun close right. You can also do an obvious stun against that pillar right there to stun Cubby. To stun CT and Cubby, you can just aim anywhere along this panel right here, throw a stun, it'll stun CT, walkout, and Cubby. Alternatively, you can throw anything along this wall and Cubby, it'll stun Cubby and backside. You can also come against this wall, look at this green sign to the left of it, and then go all the way down to the blue wall. Throw a stun along that blue line, you'll get some of Cubby, all of tube, and then some of backside as well. If you want to throw a stun backside without peeking, come up against this wall and look at this little bump in this blue line right here. Throw a stun on that blue line, it'll stun backside. And if you want to throw a stun towards the entrance of tube, go to that same blue bump and come down until it meets the brown line, or the brown spot. Throw a stun right where those two lines meet, and then you'll stun front tube. For elbow, you can come up on this little garden patch right here and throw a stun along to the right of this green line, on the green line, it doesn't really matter. And that will stun all of elbow and to the left too, which is super helpful for your Hookah. If you want to help your teammates in Hookah, you can come along this right side anywhere, it doesn't really matter. Throw a stun along that K, it'll stun all the way back left of Hookah. And then if you want to stun this close right box right here, you go into a similar spot but throw it at the bottom of this N instead, and it'll stun that side. Also, if you wanted to stun underneath Hookah dropout and right side tube, you could throw a stun right along there, and then it'll stun this close right and the right side of tube. Now this one's a little bit harder, but it is a little bit fancier. If you wanted to stun elbow in a different way, you come along this wall right here and then line up so that this metal air vent meets the wall to form like a triangle. And then you can come along and see where the vent curves. It stops about right here, and then you'll come down to the top of the triangle right here, and then you'll throw your stun there, and it will stun elbow and this close elbow peak. But that stun is a lot harder to line up, takes more time, and is only beneficial if someone is playing very close right there. Also, if you wanted to stun Cubby in a different way, you could come and throw a stun to the left or right, depending on which side of Hookah you're standing on. If you're on the right side, you would bounce a stun off of that box right there, and if you're on the left side, you would stun towards the left side of that door. Alright, so for attacking B Hookah walls, the walls for Hookah are pretty self-explanatory. There's nothing really too crazy, but I usually like to throw a wall right over this part of the site, because you can jump out for free without elbow seeing you, without this close right, Cubby, CT, or them swinging from tube. And then if you wanted to, you could jump up on top of the box and take a fight here, or even drop down backside to get backside control as well. However, if you just wanted to execute with your team, you could either block off this right side just like that. Does leave a little gap sometimes if you throw it too far to the right of this box, over this box. Or you could just come along this left side and then throw it like this to block off elbow vision, and then possibly CT, and someone could hold this angle for a swing. There is one more wall that isn't crazy useful. I haven't figured out how to perfect it yet, but if you hop on top of this this little table right here and then look up here, you can do a running jump throw to cover your garden and part of elbow, and that's why it's not too crazy, because if this could cover all of elbow and if someone could figure it out, this would be an amazing wall to get out onto site if you know there's somebody playing in elbow or garden. But this wall is very situational, and I think would only be used if you know there's someone sitting there or garden. Now for B long walls, again, there's nothing too crazy. This is one that I like to do if you just throw, you can either jump throw or just normally throw it over this wall right here. After garden's cleared, you can cover this elbow and even cubby from swinging you, and then you can get sight for free with your team. Other than that, you can just kind of throw one right over the site to get a free lane all the way down. And even peeking to CT, you can take this fight right here while this wall is still up too, and then you can also take backside fights while this wall is still up. Neon's walls are very good for taking 1v1s because she has 2 of them. So you can peek in and out of both of these walls to select your fights how you think you can win them. And especially if you're paired with an info player like Sova that can get a tag on somebody, with these paired with that wall is a very, very nice combo. If you wanted to try and catch the elbow player off guard, you could throw a wall straight at this wall with the arrow pointing at it, and then jump and slide through your wall after throwing a stun that I mentioned earlier. You could also do that for backside like that. Just know that this wouldn't be cleared. They can hide here, and they can hide along this wall, and they can peek you from the end of this wall too. Although it does cover all of elbow and all of right side, you just have to pay attention to any sort of peeks from tube or backside. For defending on A site, I like to throw a stun usually on the floor to prevent anyone from pushing you in U-Haul if you're playing there, and then it will bank off of that wall to get almost all of the exit for them. You could also bank a stun off of cubby right here to get short as well. For defending, I normally like to save my wall for a retake or getting out of a situation that I wouldn't normally be able to. If I'm stuck here and they know I'm here, I'll just throw up my wall and then dash out. I also like to throw a stun off of this box right here, this double box, to get a better lineup for hitting the exit of short. If you throw your stun anywhere along this line, it'll stun cubby and short exit. Branching off of that last stun, you can come up against this wall and bounce the stun off of cubby box. I usually like to aim right around here, and it will land inside of TP and open door for you. However, if you don't want to open up the door when TPing, just come up against this wall again, and instead of looking directly in the middle, look a little bit below that, about a quarter up of the plank, and throw a stun right there. It should land at the very entrance and then not open the door when you TP, and it'll cover most of this area right here. If they're already on site and nobody has pushed you and you're still in U-Haul, you can bank a stun off of this right here, that angled wall, and it'll stun this close corner. If they're coming out of showers, throwing a stun anywhere along bench, preferably this right side, will help out a showers push. You can also bank it off of this left wall if they're already out. You can also come around the backside of tank and throw a stun at bench to help the showers push as well. If you're playing triple, you can bank a stun off of the right side of this flat wall right here to help your teammates from getting pushed from short. You can also stun cubby and default if you throw a stun off of that wall. If they're coming out of showers, just come up to this gray wall right here and throw a stun towards the right side of it. It will stun bench and anyone coming out of showers. If they're pushing your right side on triple, you could just throw a stun off of this green box in front of tank, which will stun right side of triple, bench, and then you can also angle it towards the left side to get inside or even towards door. To stun cubby from triple, all you need to do is bank a stun off of this angled wall. You can also stun a little bit deeper into short if you bank a stun off of this white part of the wall right here. Moving on to defending on B site, if they're starting to come out of hookah, you could throw a stun along this. You could also bank a stun in cubby if your teammates aren't playing there, if they're already close. If they're in hookah and they're about to come out, what you could do is throw a stun off the roof right here, which will cover the entrance and anyone playing in the back. If they're starting to come out of garden, you have 2 options. You could throw a stun along this angled wall right here to hit that and part of cubby. Throwing it towards the left more will hit more of cubby. You can also stun almost all of garden if you throw a stun along this angled wall right here. I also like to just bank the stuns off of the floor because this is relatively flat floor, even though it doesn't look like it. Because if they're already out, you might not have enough time to set up a bank shot like that. Instead, you could just throw one on the ground and then cover more space like that. Using your wall to reposition is a key part of Neon because it means you aren't stuck in one place. So if you are stuck or spotted, you can just use your wall to cover a lot of angles. You can even run down your wall instead to get into a completely close position to catch them off guard. If you're playing Cubby, you could throw a stun along the left side of this door to get Cubby and anyone coming out of garden. You could also throw a stun along the right side of the door to get part of Cubby and someone who's further out. You could throw a stun way in elbow to help out your dropout. Alternatively, and what I prefer to do, is just banking it off of the ground. Throw a little bit further out, you could throw a stun right here instead and not expose yourself to garden, which is a little bit safer. It also hits Cubby in case there's anyone coming in there, and you can throw it a little bit to the left too to make sure that the bank hits off of this wall to prevent anyone coming out from there. If they're already on, you could throw a stun up against this green box too, to help anyone pushing close or anyone pushing in tube. You could also throw a stun against this back wall right here to get anyone that's already backside or starting to push you through tube. Otherwise, just throwing a stun off the ground right here works just as good. If you wanted to peek anyone playing close in Hookah and try and stun them, you could throw a stun in CT to have it hit the bottom of dropout, stunning this corner and this corner just in case there's anyone playing close. Alternatively, if they're playing up against this wall right here, come into this corner and throw a stun off the bottom part of this panel. Just make sure that your teammates aren't holding CT. And once again, just throwing your wall to get out of positions is plenty. You could also just slide through them too if you wanted. And lastly, if you're playing elbow, you could throw a stun along the right side of this angled wall to prevent a garden push close to you. If you wanted to get a little bit more of Cubby with that stun, you would just have to hold a tighter angle and then throw it like that, which would get all of Cubby. You can also stun all of garden by just simply bouncing a stun off of the top right here. If you're holding this close angle, you can simply throw a stun off of this wall right here. Anywhere in this rectangle works. It will stun dropout and anyone trying to get into Cubby. If you're playing right here and being held from Hookah, instead of swinging it and trying to stun like that, all you have to do is come hold a little bit wider of an angle, jump, and then throw against the brown wall right there. It'll stun both sides and let you get a free pass out if you don't hit your wall. If they're already out of Hookah, you could simply bounce a stun anywhere around this wiring right here, this corner. It's flat right there, so it'll hit both sides except for the middle. You can also bank a stun off of Cubby anywhere where the shadow works, and it hits inside a tube. If they're close, banking a stun right here. And if they're backside, banking a stun off of this wall. To get a better Cubby / tube stun, all you have to do is come right into this corner, line your crosshair up anywhere on this shadow line if you have shadows on, and if you do not, there is a little darker spot right here where it turns into a lighter spot. So angle it right there up against that wall, like so. Thank you guys for sticking around to the end of the video. Let me know if you would like to see neon guides on other maps, and don't forget to like and subscribe. See you in the next one.